All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to this is Wednesday morning Inner Circle Live session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today. So we are getting close to the holiday, and things are slowing down quite a bit in the market. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to dive into the charts and start refreshing our charts, right? Benny went through this last night, just top-down analysis, remarking up the charts. And that's what we're going to do, start resetting and preparing for the end of the year and the beginning of a new. All right. So as always, let's turn off all distractions, prepare your minds and your bodies to engage as you guys always do. And for the courtesy of everybody on the call, please ensure that your mic is muted if you're not actively asking a question or making a comment. All right. So we're going to dive straight into the charts. No fundamentals this time, just sheer technical analysis. And what I want to do is I want to start with any pairs that you guys are looking at or watching or paying attention to as we move through this holiday season. I'll start with those pairs. We'll do top-down analysis and walk our way through as many as we can get through. So take a minute, drop any of those pairs into the chat that you want me to take a look at and do a fresh top-down analysis on, and we'll start there. Pound NZD. Let's get it. Beautiful 80-20 scenario played out there on the 5. We looked at over the weekend. Let's do it. Clear it out. Reset the tools. All right. Come out to the monthly time frame. Right. So we when we're doing these top-down analysis, right, it's so important that you have a process. So important that you have a process and you're consistent in that process, right? So starting out by marking out the extreme highs and the extreme lows, visually what it does
Your
for
chart
me.
not showing, Ryan.
I apologize. Thank you. I'm just running. There we go. See me now?
Yep.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate you. But starting out with marking out the extreme highs and extreme lows, one of the things that it does for me visually, right, is it reminds me that at the end of the day, right, the market is one big range, right? One big range, top to bottom, right? So as we zoom in and we look at more relevant levels outside of that extreme high and extreme low, right, we're still able to see that the market is still in a range overall from a long-term perspective, right? Top to bottom, top to bottom. So we'll drop in these monthly levels here using black as our monthly support and resistance identifier. Okay. Like so. I will drop down to the weekly time frame and do exactly the same thing, only we're going to use blue as our support and resistance on the weekly time frame. You know, starting out in this space, I wasn't always this organized, right? I would just mark the levels and keep it going. And after I met Benny, he helped me to really understand the the importance of organization, right? And consistency, because I wasn't always an organized, consistent person, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to this trading space. And Benny definitely helped me to shift in my thought process, right? To see things from a different perspective. And it seems like a small thing, but it's really a big thing, right? And one of the beginning of the shifts in my trading career really helped me see things from a different perspective. So it was huge. It was huge. So organization is key, along with consistency in how you approach your chart markups. It's extremely important. So remember that. Remember that. Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. Ryan, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. Glad to be here. How are you?
Me too, man. Doing great. Ready for the holiday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, starting to get a lot of gridlock in these markets, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I mentioned. So we're going to go through and just continue what started last night and just doing some fresh markups.
Okay.
On the
cool.
charts.
Cool.
Started out with a pair recommendation from Joy on the pound NZD, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan, I want to say one thing that keep me in check.
Yeah, talk to me.
I don't always mark up all 28 pairs. I just make sure that the charts I'm trading is current. So I learned the long way, like, oh, I can go ahead and do it. So what? I marked this up last week. And I learned the hard way that if I didn't actively clean up my charts, I'm not going to get the best picture. So what I've now used that as a tool, if I didn't mark up the chart, I can't take up the trade.
I like that. Right.
Yeah. And it keeps you from overtrading.
Keeps you from overtrading too. Heck yeah. I love that. Right. And sometimes, especially, that's a good point, especially for newer folks, right? We get that question all the time. Like, yeah, marking up all of them is too much, right? And you don't have to trade every pair, right? And you don't have to trade every setup that you see, right? So giving yourself those guardrails, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, right? It helps you stay in check, stay in line, and stay disciplined. So that's awesome. That's a good tip, Joy. Appreciate that. Good morning, folks who just joined us. So we got our support resistance levels on monthly, weekly, and daily time frame, right? We don't have an official swing low here yet, which is why we have this level. Once this daily candle closes today, then this support will come here. Okay. And that's assuming that nothing happens and this doesn't push back down to the downside, right? I don't see it happening, but you never know, right? So that's the current level. And then tomorrow we'll shift that down to the bottom. Okay. But that is support, resistance, and trend line. Support and resistance on your daily time frame. Okay. So now what we do from here is we run our fib to give us an idea of where price is. Okay. And we see we had a shallow retracement, price pushed up, not able to get into that 118, 127 zone, right? And then started to make its way down. You got a nice head and shoulders pattern here, right? That played out to the downside. Right, beautiful move down. And then we started to get this consolidation to the side, okay? Strong sideways push into the support, 50% retracement, right? So now bottom of the range, we're working our way back to the top of the range from a daily perspective. And it's been that way for a while, since November, right? So working our way back to the top of the range. So just range bound from a higher time frame perspective in your 50% retracement zone, right? In line with the daily support level. Okay, so drop down to our 4-hour time frame, and we'll zoom in on the fib a little bit and see what we have. And here on the 4, right, we had a shallow retracement. Price got into that 118, 127 zone on the 4, beautiful 80-20 scenario. And we had that head and shoulders pattern give us a confirmation of a reversal. And then price fell to our 618 retracement level. And 90130, 908, right? Came just shy of a 786 retracement level. So we got a 618 retracement level. Okay. 618 retracement level. And then we started to push to the upside and staying in that range. Okay. So now, right, we pushed up, didn't quite get to the top, but we're getting a little bit of a pullback right now. Okay. Getting a little bit of a pullback. So overall, bias on this one, right? Has been short, right? From a daily time frame, we've been moving to the downside, but we came into a key daily level. And so now we want to see, right? Do we get price to reverse and start making its way back to the upside, breaking through these key daily levels here? Okay. So that's what we're looking at. We're in a up retracement zone, right? And we've come into our deeper retracement levels, right? Less than we got to 618 retracement, right? Potentially could push lower, okay? But we're moving sideways, okay? Range bound right now. So as we drop down to a lower time frame, get to the 1 hour, and we'll zoom back out, okay? That fib that we had running to the upside on the higher time frames, right? And that's what it looks like here on the 1. Super choppy, but again, you had a shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone. Wasn't able to get to that D extension, then it started breaking down. So you had that 80-20 scenario on your daily, your 4-hour, and your 1-hour time frame, right? So beautiful confirmation there of that reversal, push down, and then this is that range. So here right now, right, you see we're just range bound, okay? Just range bound. So we're looking at breakout type scenario, okay? And we want to see, do we break out to the top side or to the bottom? Okay, pulling back right now, we could come back to the bottom of that range. Okay, and we'll see if we make our way back to the top, break out to the upside, or we break out to the downside and then retest. Okay. That's what we're looking at right now, right? We're just sitting in this box, right? So that's the pound NZD. That's the pound NZD, right? Turnover on your lower time frames pushing down, right? If we go down to the 5, right? We can zoom out and take a look as well. Here we'd be looking at, actually, let's do this. I'm gonna pull this fib out on the 1. Right now, we'll zoom in on the 5. Okay, we'll run fibs off the low just to see where things sit. Oops, zoom in a little bit. There we go. Broke down there. There we go. All right. So price turned over here. You're in our deep retracement levels on the 5-minute time frame, right? So this is where we sit on the 5, 8-6 retracement, right? Price is starting to stall out a little bit. Okay, so we'll see if this is just a retracement and see if we get price to turn over and push up, right? Or do we break that AB boundary and push to the downside? Right, so that's your shorter term scenario there. Okay, that is your pound NZD. Any questions?
Nope.
Cool deal. What's another pair you guys are looking at that you got a fresh markup on or you want a fresh markup on? All right. Any other recommendations from the team?
I don't know, but I know that pound Aussie held at that level we were talking about last night.
Did it? Let's look at it.
Yeah, it didn't break it.
Did not break it. Mm-mm. It did not. It did not. It did not. Pushed right back down. Look at there. Okay. This is another chart that I need to update. That's the swing high there. Pushed into that level. Came back down. Staying range bound. Staying range bound. This is interesting, right? We've been hovering at this level for a very, very, very long time. Very long time. So it'll be interesting to see start of the year if we what direction this goes. I'll say that.
So the NZD moves before Aussie? Because don't generally they move kind of like at the same time in the same direction?
Yeah, they're similar, right? Similar trade partners.
Okay.
Yep. But right, you see it's been pulling down. So it's similar action, right? Push down to the downside. What just happened? Similar action, right? One might be more or less than the other, but right, you see here pushing down. Okay. Clean this up a little bit on this lower. This was that range, right?
And the only reason why I asked that, not to say I'm using time or anything, but I like to pay attention to where certain markets get active. And then, because you can always tell when they go on break, how Benny explained how the profit taking Ben. I just know it at some times of the day, it happened more so than others. And I was figuring, the time difference. Yeah, when the market's open. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that part. I've never been. The only thing I've looked at when it comes to time is gold. When I used to trade gold back in the day, but yeah, I've never been one that like really looks at the timing of things. Well, and the stock market, S&P 500, but yeah, when it comes to the currencies, I've never looked at the timing of it. So that's interesting. That and I know it happens, right? Especially on your market open and things like that. So you definitely get those spikes at different times. So it's interesting to see, right, at what time each one moves. It's an interesting study. Interesting study, right? But there we see, right? Held there, pushed down in a strong way too. Okay. But hit your D extension on your 1 hour time frame, created the AB boundary, and then fell off. Okay. Let's go to, we did the EuroCAD. Let's go to the Euro Aussie. We're gonna clean these out. And we'll start from scratch. All right, so monthly time frame, same thing. Okay. Also, while I'm doing this, I think it was Kim at the end of the session last night, thanked Benny and I for the work that we're doing. And I want you guys to know, like, we greatly appreciate you guys hanging in there, right? And going through this journey with us and choosing to go through this journey with us. I tell you guys all the time, we don't take this time that we have with you guys lightly, right? This trading space is one that we value, and the coaching, right? And helping people make progress in whatever direction that they're choosing to go is something that we love doing, right? So trust in we appreciate you. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. But also know that we're not going anywhere because this is something that we love to do, right? We love helping people. So that was why we created this organization in the first place. And that mission has not changed, right? That mission has not changed. Our love for people is the exact same, okay? But I also want you guys to know, some folks may not have heard me say this before, it's not about you getting this skill in a particular time frame, right? There is no time frame to put on it, right? There isn't, right? Your path is your path. Your journey is your journey, and your timing won't be someone else's. So I challenge you not to put a time frame on your growth, right? Because you'll put yourself in a situation where you do things that you put pressure on yourself, and you'll feel like, I'm not getting it in this time frame, right? As opposed to focusing on the process of growth and the process of evolution, right? And the process of learning. That's what's important, right? So Ben and I don't have expectations on how long it takes for you guys to pick up this skill or that skill. Our goal is just that you pick it up, right? And that you put in the time and the effort and the energy that it's necessary to pick it up. A lot of times people come into this space and we're sold this dream that you're going to be able to do this fast, and you're going to be able to make this fast money, and you can then just go on your merry way, right? And it's not real, right? It's not real. You're in a space where you're literally trading with the best traders in the world. There's no D League, there's no college, there's no little league, right? It's the big leagues. And you hear Benny say this all the time, it's highest paying profession in the world, right? So in order to play in this game, you have to learn some skills, right? You have to learn some skills. The best athletes in the world, they weren't able to just jump to the pros, right? You had some that went from high school to the NBA, and they were extremely exceptional, right? Your Kobe Bryant, your LeBron Jameses, Spencer Haywards of the world, Kevin Garnett's, right? They were extremely special, but they had the skills, and they put in the time, the effort, the energy to develop those skills at a faster rate than others did, right? But they put in more time, which compressed the time frames, as you hear Benny say, right? So the time, the effort put in, the time put in is the same. It's just whether you do it in a shorter time frame or a longer time frame, but the time frame doesn't matter, right? It matters the work that's actually put in. That's what's important. And that's what we really want you guys to grasp and understand, right? Is that it takes work. And just because you don't get it in 2 weeks or 2 years doesn't mean that you're not able to get it, right? It just means there's more work required. It's more work required. But if you look at it from a progress perspective and a learning and a development perspective, right, you'll see and you'll understand that, I was able to make progress because I didn't understand this concept or these concepts last month, but it makes sense now, right? And you start to have those aha moments as you put the pieces together, right? And as you show up and as you ask questions and as you go back and you go through the training and as you practice marking up your charts and as you take trades in your demo account, right? The more you do those things to practice the skills that you're learning and to implement the answers to the questions that you ask, the progress will be seen, right? It's not about a time frame to learn this. It's about learning this, right? So I hope you guys understand where I'm going here. And I really, really, really want us to really dive in and focus on the process, right? The steps in the process of the methodology that we teach, right? And dive into the process of learning so that you too can make the progress that you desire to make, but remove the time frame from that, right? And am I putting in the effort and the energy to see this thing from a different perspective and to see myself from a different perspective? And as you become more aware and expand your view and your vision, right, the more you'll become aware of, and the more you'll be able to see, and the more you'll be able to see things differently, right? Been talking about immersing yourself into this space, right? The more you do that, the more you'll start to become aware of, and the more you'll be able to see. Okay, so does that make sense? You guys follow me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Ryan, it was and it was one of the reasons why we set this platform up the way we did, is that it was never the one-off course that really did it for me. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to tell you who my mentors were. I give them all the credit in the world, right? I attended MTI as a student, so I'm always going to give my mentors credit, right? To the day I leave this planet, right? I think that's the respectful thing to do, because there's no I in team, right? So teamwork makes the dream work. So I still go back to them for mentorship, things like that. So give them all the kudos in the world. It was never a one-off course, even from them. It was the and their trade rooms aren't costly, right? But the return on the investment is tremendous, right? To earn the skill set. But it was getting in the trade rooms, right? That full immersion, that repetition, that asking the questions is what did it for me. It was never, hey, I purchased the course, because it's then what happens after that. The course is static. Right? A course is static. That's why we have the training, but then we have the live sessions, right? We did that for a reason, because to sell you guys on a one-off course, that course is static. The market's always moving. There's always new lessons to be learned. That's why showing up like you guys are consistently showing up, that's what does it. That's what helps you to have that aha moment. And then it enables you to it enables for everything to eventually click, and then everything becomes slow motion, right? But you got to get those visual reps. And I always talk about how when I got injured in college, and I thought I was just going to be able to sit in the dorm room and work, do my homework, and my coaches still told me, no, you need to come to practice. Why? You need to get mental reps, right? You need to get the mental reps. So when you show up, or we know we have people from all different time zones. When you look at the recordings, right, it may be redundant, it may be the same thing, but it allows you to get those visual reps so that when you see those price levels, when you see those price patterns, you start to get the confidence to take the trades that you need to take. And that's how you become an independent, profitable trader, right? So that's the whole point and why we do things the way we do it. Why we do the Mindset Mondays. We kick it off on Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, Thursday evening, and then we have the ritual. It was set up the same way for me. It was set up the exact same way, right? Those times I got to spend with the chief in the live trade room, who's the man behind all of it, this whole philosophy, right? That we do with the fibs and things like that. To be able to spend the time with that man for the time that I was able to spend was tremendous, right? And I wouldn't trade it for the world. So that's why we do things the way we do it, and that's more people that's been with us for a while, that. But for some of our newer folks, in the group, that, hey, why don't we just have just one course and then just leave you out there? This is the reason, because that the course is static. The market's always moving and there's new things to learn. So just wanted to piggyback on what you said, man. Appreciate you for what you do, Ryan.
I appreciate you too, bro. I appreciate you too, man. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So I appreciate you, man. And that's it, right? That's why we created it the way that we do. Okay. It's about the implementation, right? And learning how to implement and having a structure in place that can help you to fill those gaps, right? We appreciate you too, AJ. It's so important, man. It's so important. So important. So on this Euro Aussie, right? So we got our support resistance levels in. Okay. And you see here we ran our fib off of the low. We had a double bottom here, right, at this monthly support level. And then price has been pushing up ever since. Okay. So coming into this daily resistance level. Okay. And we hit a D extension, right? Had some consolidation here. We didn't get the breakdown out of the 80-20 zone. And price pushed up, hit a D extension, right? And now we're getting our consolidation here. Looking for our next swing low to form at some point. Okay, so price is exhausted at a key level, right? So that's the daily time frame. I'm gonna take these levels, didn't pull them down yet. So we'll take these daily levels, we'll drop them down. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. We'll drop these down to our lower time frame. Okay. Like so. All right. And we see the break above, we came back and retested, and then we pushed. Okay. We broke up, right? This was a resistance level that was formed off of this high, pull back, push up, right? And we came back trying to retest that level, and then we pushed up a little higher. Okay. So as we drop down now to the 4-hour time frame, all right, we'll pull these support resistance levels out. And we'll just look at it. Okay. And you see it, break, retest, break, retest, break, retest. Now things are starting to slow down and start to push sideways, right? So now we know we're exhausted on the daily time frame, coming into a key daily level, right? So we want to see if we have any confirmation or confluence here on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, we got a 382 retracement on the 4, but we pushed up, and this is that 118 and 127 zone where price is stalling out right now. Okay, so could be in for a retracement at some point, right? We'll see. we'll see what transpires. But that's where we're at on the 4-hour time frame. We got a 382, and now we're starting to stall out as we come to the end of the year. Okay. So here, you can run your trend line. There we go. Still getting used to these updates. There we go. Okay. You can run one more trend line coming to the upside here. Back, right? So that's your 4-hour. Those are your trend lines running to the upside. Okay. Looking for a trend line break, right? See if we get a retracement to the downside. Okay. So now as we drop down to the 1, we know that we could potentially be in for a retracement coming at some point once the volatility comes back into the market. Okay. So we zoom out, we got our levels. We know that on the daily time frame, we hit a D extension. We know that on the 4-hour time frame, we had a 382 retracement. However, price is stalling now in the 118, 127 zone at that daily resistance level. So we'll come down here to the low. We'll run our fib to the upside. And this is what we have on the 1, right? We have some confluence with the daily time frame. Fresh AB boundary, we had a shallow retracement, and we're trying to work our way to this 118, 127 zone. Okay. Trying to work our way up. Right. And this is where we're stalling out. So now, right, we see, okay, on the daily time frame, we could have a fresh AB boundary form sometime in the near future. And on this 1-hour time frame, we're also pushing up into a key zone. So it's something that we would love to keep our eyes on as the days go by, right? And once we break out of this consolidation, this is another confirmation that we could be in for a retracement to occur. Okay. So we run our trend lines to the upside. Right. For our newer folks, the goal of the trend line is to get as close to the highest point as possible without cutting off any wicks or bodies. Right. And you run this trend line like a tabletop, extend it out, right, and bring it up until you get the second touch, which is right here. Right. Okay. Like so. All right. So that's our trend line there. Okay. If you were being aggressive, right, before all of this transpired, you would have had a trend line coming up like this. Right. And you got consolidation that broke that trend line. So you would have then adjusted that. And now this was your break of your inner trend line here. Right. Didn't really get a strong break there, but you had a second candle that closes. That's our confirmation of the trend line break. Right. Now price pushed down to this middle trend line and it's just hovering now. Okay. So we want to see, right, after all the consolidation is done, do we get another push up to get to this daily resistance level, right? And push into this 118, 127 zone on the 1-hour. Okay. And then see if that level holds. And if we start to get this breakdown in this trend line break here, right? We want to retest this level here. Okay. We want to push into that 118, 127 zone. That's what I'd like to see happen, right? It may not. We're close to that level now, right? So it may not get there, but I'd like for it to, right, to kind of confirm the exhaustion and then stay below that level, if that's what the market wants to do. Okay. So if this transpires, if we push up into this daily resistance level, right, and we get a swing high and a trend line break, then we have a trade entry opportunity to the downside, right? If then statements. Michael, what's up, man?
Hi, good morning. I think you just answered my question. I was looking at this last night, so I was like waiting for that one daily resistance to be rejected before I look at any entries. Because I don't want to go aggressive because I've been going aggressive and I'm kind of 50-50 sometimes in my trade. So I want to slow down the aggressive entries.
No, I dig it. I dig it. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You hear Benny talk about all the time regarding being aggressive and having tight stop losses. It's something that as you continue to evolve as a trader, you'll start to learn about yourself and your personality. Can you see a high number of losses and still be okay? Right? Most people, yeah, the fast money looks nice. However, you can't take seeing 7, 8, 9 losses in a row, right? Mentally, you can't take it. So, and that's, I don't like seeing 7, 8, 9 losses in a row either, right? I don't. So I use wider stops. I give the trade room to breathe and I allow it to do its thing, right? So as you, and this isn't just for Michael, this is for everybody, right? But as you evolve as a trader, you'll start to identify those things as you explore, right? The different entry styles, right? And the different placements of your stop loss, whether you place it tight right above the high, or you give it some room, place it above the 118 or the 127 zone, or you extend it even further and place it outside the D extension, right? And really give it room to swing. Okay. So as you explore, you'll identify, okay, yeah, I might have come in wanting to be a swing trader. I mean, a scalper, right? But seeing that number in red doesn't feel good. Taking 3, 4, 5 losses in a row before I get a win doesn't feel good. And I get down on myself, or I start talking negative to myself, right? Those are identifiers that, hey, I might need to switch up the style, right? And I might need to allow that trade to swing to give it room to breathe, to then ultimately have the potential to have a higher win rate, right? To have a higher win rate, and as Benny talks about all the time, right? Compounding the account over time. Compounding the account over time. So those tighter stop losses doesn't mean more money, right? It's about the mindset and the perspective that you have on the situation, right? And that will then control how you respond and impact the amount of money that you're able to make, right? More trades doesn't equate to more money. It doesn't. So figuring that out through that exploration phase is very important. The type of trader that you desire to be, and how you'll go about your trading. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Michael. Definitely appreciate you bringing that up. So yes, looking for, I would like it to test this daily level as well. But if we get a trend line break sooner, right? That's okay too, right? And if I was to enter that, I would just use a wider stop. Place it outside that 118, 127 zone. And allow it to do its thing. Right.
Hey, Ryan.
What's up, bro?
So here's the thing, right? Because everything is true what you're saying, right? But here's the thing. I heard Michael say it's kind of 50-50. Well, if that's your statistic and you're tracking it closely, right? If it's 50-50, you could be profitable if you're in the proper risk to reward ratio.
That's a fact.
Right? So here's where the psychology comes into play, right? And speaking from experience, right? You're taking those losses, but if it's 50-50, right? And you're not making money, and if you originally started out with your trade idea and said, hey, I want to be in this for 2-to-1, and it's 50-50 and you're losing money, then oftentimes what was happening to me is because I'm so demoralized from those losses, the 50% of the trades that I won, I didn't let them run to take profit for the 2-to-1 or even a 1.5-to-1 because I was so happy to see blue and not the red. So I've taken 5 losses, and now for my 5 winners, I'm cutting them short because I'm happy just to see money because I'm demoralized from the 5 losses in a row that I took before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get beat.
That's real.
And that's where we get messed up. So continue to track your statistics, right? Use the wider stop if you have to, but I just wanted to give the other side of that. Because if you're saying, hey, it's like 50-50, there's a lot of traders that make an absolute killing in this market 50-50.
It's true.
Or even 40-60. Right? Some of your best traders in the world. So that's something to think about as well as we go ahead into the holiday break and you take a look back, you know, at what you've done. You know, that's why we always say journaling is important. And a lot of times when we're in the, like, it's a challenge to find that consistency. That's why with everything that you do, right? And to run it as a business, right? Which is why we harp on it. And because we know it's not going to happen overnight. It doesn't happen for us all the time consistently, right? So that's why we just continue to say it over and over again, because that's what we need. And that's what we still need. That's why we have each other and we talk on a regular basis, right? So that's just something else to think about, right? As you move into 2023, like, man, if I'm 50-50, why wasn't I? So I won 5 out of 10 trades. What happened? What happened? So just something to think about. Thanks, man.
Yep. Appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Cool deal. So that's the Euro Aussie. That's the Euro Aussie. Questions here? Or anything that we've discussed, right? We've talked about some more heavier topics this morning, which is a great thing, right? Any questions on anything that we've discussed so far? Or any thoughts or feedback, right? We're open to hear from you guys too. You guys help us as much as we help you. And you looked at the pound CAD last night.
I got feedback.
Talk to me.
I can say, and this is just from an experience of me trading gold the other day. That was the first time ever where I had the time and I pushed myself to say, okay, you got to do this. Just because you ain't at work, you got to get some work done. And I sat there, and at first I wasn't sure because, again, I had just lost $100 the day before. But then I had to check myself because I have been in the practice of not associating it with what I lost, but the pips that I didn't get. So I'm still in practice of that because I only started with my accounts with $20. So I have to be precise. And when Benny went over the last lesson, I said, okay, it's in the numbers. So if I only got so much in here, or this is what, how I'm trading it, then I can only take these trades. And what I was doing in the past was, one, re-educate myself to this strategy because I switched groups twice. So there's 2 different strategies. And it's a lot of things that I had to not like unlearn, but incorporate what I've learned and what I've been trained to and when to apply it. And I think a lot of times is when I applied it because half the time I'm thinking I'm on a retest. No, I jumped in too early. And if I would have just, collected here, but then wait for the retest and take it back down, then I still had an original idea. But it just took losses and losses and losses to finally realize, because I'm not journaling, so I can feel the loss and remember it, but because I'm not journaling, I wasn't able to say, Joy, that really wasn't a retest. That it playing is too early. So
yeah,
me doing gold is just something that I practice on. Was it hard? Man, yeah, I was in there. It was hard, but everything that I've learned with you guys helped me see the things that, and I've been in here, I've been trading for 4 years. And I thought I was gonna get the Bentley. I was gonna be in Bloomfield Hill somewhere. I mean, and that was everything, but I had to put the big picture out for me on a longer path because this is gonna take longer in the end. I just had to as you say, give myself grace. So
Yeah. If you could, Joy, talk to the people for a minute, because you mentioned that you started your account with $20. And if you can give everybody some perspective on your process of trading and in your lot sizes and how you're growing your account. Because most people, $20 isn't ideal, right? But can you give folks a real understanding of how you've been trading and what your lot sizes look like?
I trade no more than 0.01 because I'm cheap and I don't like to lose. And if I'm going to lose I just want to lose just enough so I can get back into another trade, because I don't get paid till another 2 weeks, because after I pay off the bills, I probably got about $60, $80 that's my allowance for myself. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I'm hard-headed. I don't do the demoing. And the only reason why I don't do the demoing is because I don't know what money feels like. And just to press that amount, I call it tuition, because I know once I get it, everything I lost is going to come back more in abundance. And I'm trusting that process and I'm getting to that mindset. I couldn't handle losing. So what I was doing was, like, it didn't matter who. I was still in this group and IML because it was letting the scripture run. I was looking at everybody. Ooh, they called this. And I was just taking the signals without doing the work. But within the last year, being with you guys, it forced me to do the work, because I got to do it on my own. And just because somebody called the signal be good. And that's when I learned I was getting into soon, because, I hear a trade. Okay, this meant the rule, this made the rule click. And then it was still pushing up. And if I would have just waited, and I hear bidding in, y'all get that money, y'all get that. No, I ain't get it, because I bombed out a whole trade ago, because I wasn't being patient with myself. And it wasn't even the fact I wasn't patient with myself. It's because I worked a crazy job. I worked Monday. I worked doing 2 sessions. I worked from 7 to 5:30, Monday through Thursday. So Fridays ain't always a good day to trade on. So I started off in binary, and I think that's the reason why it gives me that excitement and stuff like that. So me learning how to swing helps to slow me down. So when I master the swing, I'm able to handle that pressure and that money wisely, because I tried to go up to 0.2. Man, it almost drove me crazy when I seen that red. And that was just 20 cents. So just imagine, if I can't handle 20 cents, what $1 gonna do to me? So I've just been taking the necessary cautious acts of being responsible for what the strategy says and what I've seen and what I practice, and then understand when to put the caveats in, because that's the reason why I asked about when do NZD start trading. Like the US is at, the bill is at 9:30. When is NZD bill? Because what happened was, and I'm working on it, I had a higher entry on GPNZD. I put my stop loss into profit. I price retested. So I put in a second entry, and I put my stop loss to my stop loss was where my original price was at. But what happened was, everything was good and dandy. And I think that's when it was like a change. And I didn't pick it up, and I didn't pay attention to it. And so now I'm in drawdown, like, is this going to go down? Well, when they taking profits and stuff like this. And I'm associating a bad habit again. And so that's what I've been doing step by step, recognizing what I'm doing wrong, going back and going the right way the next time, so I won't repeat bad behavior. Well, bad habits, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So when we talk about risk management and scaling up an account, you really have to take that seriously.
And right now I got 3 accounts where I started off with $20, because what I do, I make the money and transfer it. And I started off with the $20. And right now the account that I did will go from $20 to $110. well, I had some other trades in that account, but still,
Sure.
I
Trading
mean,
pennies.
yeah, just trading pennies, because I think once I master it, I can be able to change that penny to $1. And until then, I'm just trusting it.
That's it, right? As you grow, the lot size will grow, but you have to be willing to go through the process of trading pennies, because at some point those pennies will turn into dollars. And those dollars will turn into hundreds, but you have to be willing to compound the account first, starting with the pennies. Starting with the pennies, right? It's not too small. You got to be willing to start with the pennies and be willing to compound over time. Like Benny said the other day, shifting the thought process and looking at it as a long-term, lifelong opportunity, not just not a get rich quick scheme. But this is a lifelong skill that that gives you the opportunity to create money from money, and gives the opportunity to develop a skill that will pay you for the rest of your life, if you're willing to put in the time, the effort, the energy to learn the skill. Appreciate you, Joy. Good people. We didn't get through a ton of charts this morning, but I think the conversation was pertinent. I hope that the conversation helps somebody. Benny, you got anything before we wrap this thing up, bro?
Hey man, great work, great conversation, amazing feedback. Again, we appreciate all of you being here and putting in the work. Just hey, I guess Ryan, we'll talk afterwards about sending out a communication. The market is coming to a slow grind, so we'll send out a communication about this evening session and then the holiday schedule going forward, because things are really starting to slow down with the holiday coming into the weekend. So we'll definitely send that out.
Yeah, we'll get an email out to you guys somewhere shortly afternoon on what the plan will be for the rest of the day and for the rest of the week. And we'll also include in there what the plan is for next week as well. All right. So keep your eyes on your email. That'll come out. That'll come through for you so that you have that. Cool. Appreciate that reminder, bro.
Yep.
Anybody got any questions before we wrap it up? All right, good people. Make today the best day. Make today the best day. We'll catch you later. Peace.
You too. Take care, Ryan. Bye-bye.
Bye now.